Chris, just what you've seen so far from this team, determination, the way they've gotten through the playoffs so far.
Yeah, it's an exciting group to be around. Obviously there's a lot of character in that room. A lot of close friendships. You see how they play, how they practice. It's like I said, it's an exciting time of year, and we're fortunate to be, in the conference finals.
Chris, one of the guys we've really seen emerge this year is Trocheck. Just what are the biggest jumps you've seen him take from last year, and how, I guess, do you think that's been possible?
Yeah, he's had a terrific season. Real good playoffs. As Labby says, he's in on everything we do. Face-offs, PK, PPs. He's all over the ice. He's a terrific leader. He's a competitive as they come. Those of us that get to see him every day, and especially in practice, it's, to me, is one of his biggest attributes, and we're fortunate to have him.
Oh, hey, Chris.
Vince, how you doing?
Got one for you. Want to ask about, since Peter's been here, the year you've worked with him, your vantage point. What have been some of the things that have stood out about the way that maybe it's influenced the group, the changes that he's made with the group, and how that's translated to the way that they play?
Yeah, well, he's a very detailed-oriented coach. Again, I come back to those of us that get to see him every day in practice, and obviously I'm behind the scenes with him every day, but he's got a plan every day, and he executes it, and as we've seen as the year's gone on, he's able to adjust if needed, that plan, but he and his staff have done a terrific job, and it's just been fun for me to watch him, from my vantage point.
Chris, this was for you as well. Just you watch practice every day that this team practices. When you see them in the battle drills that Peter has them doing, as a former player, I want to, from your perspective, how do you think that translates to the game, and the importance of that for this particular group to have those things from the beginning all the way through, and even now, when it can get tiring in the grind, the importance of that.
Yeah, our practices are fun to watch. There's a lot of joy in the players, actions, emotions, how they compete. Again, I think Labby and the staff design practices every day with a plan, and how hard they play and practice translates to the games. If it doesn't happen in practice, it's not going to magically happen in the games, and it's a fun group to watch in practice and compete, and the joy they have every single day.
Sorry, Peter, we've been talking to you for weeks.
This is the best press conference I've been to.
I can see, I'm sure, but I apologize you have to be here.
No, go right ahead. Hey, go right ahead.
Just had to get that out of the way.
Go right ahead.
Chris, I'm just wondering your thoughts on Filipito's journey this season, just how he handled it, how you guys handled it, and how you guys had to navigate the situation as well.
Yeah, it's been a long year for Phil. We're excited. He's practiced yesterday, and we'll see where the next 24 hours go. And as I've said, it's Labby's lineup, but it's good to have options. As we said from the beginning, his and all the players' health and well-being are the first and foremost every single day. But we're certainly glad he's got back to playing Game 3, and excited to see what the next 24 hours bring and see if he's a possibility for tomorrow.
Right side, third row.
Peter, you're not going to get off that easy. I actually have a question about the series. Florida, I noticed, has had the most hits of anybody in the regular season. How do you deal with their physicality in terms of, do you have to match their physicality, or do you don't feel the need to match their physicality? How do you deal with that, particularly some of their grittier guys?
Yeah, I mean they play a heavy game. They're not the only team in the league that plays heavy. And I think, again, heavy can come in different ways. It can come and compete on pucks. It can come in the battles on the walls. It can come from establishing position in front of nets. It certainly can be from finishing a hit or fighting or whatever it might be. I think physicality presents itself in different forms. I think our guys have been up to the challenge and been able to play our game, but also play any game that's come our way. And so, I go back and look at the times that we played Florida this year. I didn't think it was a big deal. I know that there was questions at the beginning of the year about how we would handle certain teams and their physicality, and I think our guys have done a really good job. I think one of the biggest things going into the series is we're trying to establish our game, our plan, our identity that's worked for us. And along the way, I do think you have to acknowledge your opponent and things that they do. not just physicality, but what they do on the forecheck, what they do in D-zone coverage, or what they do off of face-off plays, and you have to make small adjustments to that. But I think our team has done a really good job of playing the hand that's been dealt, and I understand the way Florida plays, but I think we got to work on playing our game.
Yeah, I'll stick with you, Peter. Chris just mentioned having options in the lineup, and just curious, how much of a luxury is it to you to have these guys healthy, whether it's Hedel or Rempe or Brodzinski or Wheeler now? How helpful is it to just have those as options?
I think depth is really important in a long playoff journey. When you have that, sometimes you go into it healthy and you lose pieces along the way. And, we went into it, we're trying to get pieces back, and we seem to have a lot of those pieces close to becoming available options. I think that adds depth to our lineup. Those are important pieces that you just mentioned inside of our team, and we understand that there's still a tremendous amount of work that can be done, and the toll that takes sometimes on your team. So to have those pieces and that depth in your lineup, in your arsenal of players, I think that's a real positive thing for us.
Actually, one for each of you. Chris, I'll start with you. Just I'm wondering, early in the season, could be in training camp, could be in the first quarter of the season. What did you see from the way Peter was coaching this team that it was what this team needed? You had that feeling when you hired him, but what did you see to know that it was the right hire?
Well, a lot of it started during the interview process. Going back to that process, as some of you have noted, I was meticulous. I took my time. I did a lot of homework. It just so happened to be scheduling-wise, Peter was the first person I interviewed, and no one came close to knocking him out of the box. And I spent a lot of time, on this hire, and as did our staff. Again, a lot of it to me comes down to details and planning. And you saw right from the first minute at training camp, the details we were working on, the pace at which practice and training camp was played, and I think guys understood right from there. Things around here were elevated, and you better be ready to go.
And Peter, for you, in what ways does having Chris as the GM, the guy to lean on here too, help you? I mean, he's been here a while, and he was a former player here as well.
I think it helps a lot. I think having relationships where you can, speak openly and talk about things, and we do quite a bit. I mean, there's nothing that I do that Chris doesn't know, and he's really open with me as well. We see each other pretty much every day. We talk pretty much every day. It doesn't always have to be business, but I think just establishing that relationship. I knew Chris before I came here. I worked with him before, and him the same for me as well. But I think when you get to work with somebody, it becomes a little bit different, but in a good way. You're spending more time. Maybe our time in the past had been quicker, or through a small tournament or a short stint of time, and now we're together. We see each other every day. But like I said, I think it was yesterday, our relationship has been really good. It's been open. I'm pretty much an open book, and what we do, I think he should know, and we share thoughts and information, and it's been a really good relationship.
Chris, I think you snuck the Roslovic trade in like half an hour before the deadline. It felt like, just in general, how pleased have you been with him, and how have you maybe seen him improve within his time here?
Yeah, I think he's been a good fit. To play with Meek and Kreider, as a player, you got to check a number of boxes, pace, skill. But I think the biggest thing is he could think with those guys. Obviously, Kreider and Meek are elite players, elite talent in this league, and I think Jack's fit in real nicely with him in a lot of different ways. And it seems the more time he's with them, and the more time, more games we have, the better he's gotten, each step of the way.
Anything more for Coach and Chris? We'll do two more on the left side.
Chris Moore, just kind of general big picture. When you watch this team play, especially this time of year, what stands out to you is, I don't know if you say identity or biggest strengths. Like, what do you feel like sets this group apart and it has them at the stage where they're at right now?
I think their love for each other. I really do think they come to work every day. They love being here. They love being Rangers. The way we end every practice, the way we start every practice, they compete. There's a lot of belief in that room, and I think they all work for each other, and it's been exciting to be part of.
Yeah, I'll do one more for you, Chris. You know, you mentioned the practices and talked to Dan just now about battling in practices, but there's also that balance. It seems like it's light out there, it's fun. How do you keep them, and maybe this is for Peter too, but how do you guys keep them focused at what's, on what's at stake here?
That might be better for you in practice.
Yeah, I think, first of all, I think my staff's been unbelievable. You see them out on the ice; they take charge so many times and so often, and they help, bring that to the table as well. I think that there's got to be a buy-in from the players. You can have thoughts going into a practice on how you want it to be. I've often found that if you feel like it's work, well, then you're coming to work, and if you feel like you're coming to the rink to have fun and compete and enjoy what you do, then that's oftentimes what you do and not necessarily considered work. And I think our guys have bought into that. They enjoy competing against each other. They enjoy the speed and the pace and going head to head against each other, and it shows out on the ice. And I also think that by doing that, it's translated into the games. And so, they say that you play how you practice, and I think our guys have had a pretty good reflection of that on a daily basis. They brought what they do here, and they bring it into the games.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.